Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Horses Now podcast. Kenny, we're back. You're back from the Eclipse Awards. First, I got to say congratulations. What a big night for you guys.
Yeah, that was massive. You know, it's been a real honor to be around such nice horses this year. And Thorpedo Anna, she hits the pinnacle of the sport last Thursday night. But the story really is how I got there. For some people that don't follow me, and actually I didn't Twitter this out too much, or X, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But I was fortunate enough to be firsthand experience of the New Orleans snowstorm.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right.
Yes. And so last weekend before last, I had a group of horses running on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And of course, not being one to heed advice to leave before the snow arrived, I said, oh, it'll be fine. This will melt off. Nothing ever sticks in New Orleans, right?
How could it?
So,
sure.
Yeah. So I saddled a group of horses last Monday, and then it started snowing Tuesday morning, and snowing and snowing and snowing. And of course, my flight was canceled on Tuesday.
Okay.
And then my flight was canceled on Wednesday morning. And then my flight for Wednesday night was canceled by noon. And I had the Eclipse Awards to attend in West Palm Beach.
On Thursday
night.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much stuck in New Orleans. And actually, really fun time. Tuesday was really a really fun day because the whole city was. I live in the French Quarter, so the French Quarter was pretty much in shock of the amount of snow. We had 9 inches of snow in the French Quarter.
Unbelievable. Yeah,
it was unbelievable. And then it was a matter of what restaurants are open, what grocery stores were open, and of course, most importantly, what bars were open.
Yeah, right.
And so it ended up being actually quite a fun day. And I did a podcast interview with a group out of England that day. And so I get stuck there. Unfortunately, I've got a good man that works for me, Greg Moorhead, who I've known all my life. And Greg says, we're going to get in one of the trucks. We have our own chassis and trailers. And we're going to drive to Florida.
Okay.
And so we spent the next 14 hours traveling from the French Quarter. There's only one bridge open leaving New Orleans. And then we went 200 miles through side roads because the interstates were closed on the Florida Panhandle, made it to my farm in Ocala at 3:30 a.m.
Wow.
The day of the Eclipse Awards, and then made the final 4-hour ride down with Dominic Brennan to make the event. So let's just say it was a very eventful week. Certainly great honor to be able to win Horse of the Year with our filly. For that matter, you're going to see her before the show's over. She's only about 15 feet away from me. She's on her daily afternoon walk. Matter of fact, we could probably get into that first if you want.
Yeah. Hey, we don't want to miss the star of the show here. So
yeah, so you're down here at Gulfstream. Fortunately, we avoid most of the weather, but Anna is she's here. We're in barn 2, and she's
unbelievable. So Kenny, she's the only second 3-year-old filly to ever earn Horse of the Year. Rachel Alexandra won in 2009.
Rachel Alexandra.
Yeah, yep. Okay. So she won it in 2009. Thorpedo Anna is only the second one to ever win. Pretty crazy.
Yep.
The 7th female horse to ever be honored as Horse of the Year.
Right.
From what I saw here, and I don't know that this can be right, but I read that Thorpedo Anna received 193 first place votes. Sierra Leone got 10 and Fiercest got 5. Is that correct? Wow.
Yeah, no, I was actually surprised by that margin, but she's just been so popular. That's her on the other end of the shed row there. I'm trying to focus in for you. And she's just so popular, and she's kind of a favorite. I think for a combination of reasons, obviously her talent, but certainly maybe the fact that she wasn't overly expensive. But she's the queen bee, and here she comes right here. We're going to see if we can get her to stop for a second. She's pretty adamant that she'll stop and do whatever you want to if you've got a peppermint in your hand.
Uh-oh.
Hold back 1 second, Freddie. Freddie walks her every day. Say hello. You're on the Horses Now podcast.
Hey, Freddie.
Yeah, she wants to keep going. Okay, go ahead. We'll get her a peppermint on the next turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, she does her own thing there. What a beautiful horse.
We'll step her outside. Look at the hind end on her.
Oh yeah,
that's really what makes her. I mean, she's just got a great hind end on her.
Kenny, so you bought her for $40,000. Let me put that in perspective. There was a colt that was purchased this year at the Keeneland September yearling sale for $5 million. So $40,000 is nothing in that world, correct?
No, some say I robbed. It was robbery.
I mean, it kind of feels that way, right? I mean,
yeah,
unbelievable.
I'm looking for a peppermint. She's usually got a bag of peppermints here close by. This is typical barn office. We've got Gastrogard. We have safety pins.
We're getting the full tour here.
Yeah, this is this past list. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna have to printer ink. Of course, we got a printer, and this is another one of these boards that you'll see
set list
in all of my stables.
Yeah,
this is an interesting old picture. We haven't shown this one before, have we?
I don't think so.
So this is 2002, a season that I had a really good year, and in the middle is Harlan's Holiday, really special horse, the sire of Into Mischief.
Yeah.
Take Charge Lady.
I remember
all
that.
This is 2002, and then Repent, who was the top horse in his own right. All of these. Take Charge Lady made a couple of million. Harlan's Holiday made around 3, and then Repent made about 1.2. And this is our win photo from the Florida Derby back in 2002 as well. But that's
now. Did Take Charge Lady win the Oaks?
Take Charge Lady was second in the Kentucky Oaks.
Second, okay.
And Harlan's Holiday was the favorite in the Derby that year, but ended up. They didn't get beat far. It only got beat about 4 lengths, but it wasn't a win. So, but not out of lack of effort. Hey, Liz, where are the peppermints? You know where any are that did we run out? Okay, see if you can find one. Freddie, bring her on outside real quick.
Kenny, the other night, Judy Hicks got a lot of praise. What's the importance with her as the breeder?
Just walk down and back there, Freddie. Judy's just a wonderful lady. This is someone that's put her heart and soul into this industry. Go ahead, just walk straight down and back. And she took Thorpedo Anna's mother, was actually a mare that wouldn't have been attractive to many people at all. But because she was by Uncle Mo, she certainly had the pedigree there. And then she bred her to Fast Anna, and here we stand today. So none of this happens without the effort of Judy, and she is just a wonderful lady, and we've enjoyed working with her, and we've got a few others as well we've got for her. But she had a vision. She took her to auction. I was fortunate enough to buy her, and then Judy grabs me after I signed the ticket and says, "Can I stay in? Please let me stay in." And of course, I put a group together, and I let her stay in. Go ahead, Freddie. I don't know if they found any mints for her, but she is a mint hound. She loves her mints.
So Judy begged to stay in as a part owner?
Well, she asked to stay in, and yes, and we that's easy enough. We were glad to have her.
She knew what she was doing there, didn't she?
She foaled this filly. She raised her, and she's certainly the main reason this all started, this whole journey.
Kenny, where does this honor rank for you?
Well, it's going to be tough to top it. The filly I showed you earlier, Take Charge Lady, was a filly that was certainly a real high level accomplishment to have a filly that good. She was never a champion, but she won 11 times for me in Grade 1 company repeatedly. And I thought I'd never have one better than her, but here we are. Not only did we have Swiftly too. Go ahead, Dolly. Go ahead. This is our Common Defense is getting ready to run here soon. He came out full of energy, didn't he?
Is that a young horse?
Typical afternoon at feed time here at Gulfstream, and actually every stable that I have, that they have a real strict routine that everybody comes at a certain time. We clean stalls, make sure that everybody gets fresh hay in the corner, fresh water. It's a real normal afternoon.
Is Gulfstream pretty busy this time of year?
They're running today. We didn't have anything in this afternoon, but there's a big crowd over there, and I'm not sure what kind of races they had today, but we didn't have anything in ourselves.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gosh, I tell you, Anna just sticks out, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, even from somebody that doesn't know anything, you can just tell she looks like just a strong, well-built horse.
Well, she's real high energy and makes all the difference. Her energy level seems to never dissipate.
So the other night, obviously, you talked about the challenges getting there. You talked about having to drive the 14-hour stretch. Still, that night had to have been a highlight for you from because obviously she won the Horse of the Year. She also won Filly of the Year, correct? Or 3-year-old Filly of the Year.
Correct. Champion 3-year-old.
And I tell you what, Kenny, and I got to get your opinion on this. So Trainer of the Year was Chad Brown. And I know Chad's a friend of yours. Chad had a great year. I guess he had a ton in winnings. I don't know how you top the Oaks Derby and a Breeders' Cup, though, right? I mean, it seemed like it was a tough race between you two, but make a case on how Chad beat you in this thing. Well,
I think it's pretty simple. We have totally different types of operations. And of course, we're trying to win at the highest level. But he has a different type of clientele than I have. I probably have a different type of approach than Chad has. I mean, he almost doubled me in earnings. I think he had 30 million in earnings and we had 16. Look, these are champagne problems, of course. But
is that a lot more horses though, Kenny? I mean, didn't he have a lot more horses running?
He made a lot more starts than we did. Yeah. He also he's got a lot of backing. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to best guess we only get about 20% of the investment that he gets.
Interesting.
But look, he deserves that because he's done a great job, and we certainly, I think we're going to attract a little more investment behind us. But in some ways, you're a reflection of the horses you have.
Yeah.
I buy my own yearlings. Okay, so when I do that, for every Thorpedo Anna, there are horses that aren't good. And I tend to play those horses out. And so if a client comes to me and a horse is a modestly talented horse, I'm going to continue to race that horse, help them sell the horse, get it claimed. Exit strategy, as some would say in some business terms. But I don't ever say I don't want this horse. So our approaches to it is significantly different. If a horse doesn't fit certain trainers' program, then they will, I guess, gracefully tell the client or the owner of the horses, this isn't one that's going to work for us. But I tend to race the horses that I get and then play them out from start to finish. And so it hurts my win percentage.
Yep.
It's also a factor that voters look at. So he had a higher win percentage. He had a higher purse earnings over the year, and he won, I think, twice as many graded stakes as we did. So look, he's a deserving winner, and look, what's that going to make me do? It's going to make me work harder.
Do you feel?
Look, he congratulated me, and I congratulated him. And
Sure.
Chad and I are what I would call professional colleagues, and we don't hang out together, but we are friendly.
And I figured that would be the case. And, he's not going to say negative about you and vice versa. But do you feel, does that drive you a little bit? And I think you just said that. I mean, did you feel like, hey, I maybe this was my year to win it? Or
well, I think if for an outfit at the level of investment that we have and where we play, I'm really proud of what we accomplished. Just to be mentioned in the same group, I think is great. And you just got to worry about each horse at a time, and don't worry about awards and all that stuff. You just keep getting up and dealing with the nice horses that you do have. So it's all relative. I wasn't sure that I would win. I felt confident going into it, but at the same time, I knew his numbers were pretty dramatically different. And look, I don't make any different living whether I'd won that award or not. It would have been nice to have on the mantle, I suppose.
Sure.
And I would have let my daughters argue over it one day. So
we need to figure out how we can get nominated for best media for an Eclipse Award. That needs to be our goal here, Kenny. See if we can't get on the docket.
Well, Teague, I'd give you that award, but you know what? There are plenty of awards. They do have media awards. I think you may have seen that.
I did.
Yeah, and those are very, very popular, and people put a lot of hard work into that.
Oh, I'm sure. There's a lot of great professionals.
I feel like you're doing more hard work than I am. I'm just on the other side answering your questions.
Well, here's the thing, though, Kenny. You've got to be an open book with this thing. If everything was political and everything was just kind of the status quo answer, this wouldn't be interesting. But I think that's what our listeners appreciate about what we do here is you don't hold back any punches. You kind of tell it the way it is, and people like how real you are.
Now, let's pat ourselves on the back, I suppose. But you ask the right questions, is what they all say to me.
Well, listen, we're gonna at some point I'm gonna be at that thing with you. We're gonna win an Eclipse Award for what we're doing here with Horses Now. Chad Brown question though. So does Chad not buy his own yearlings?
He participates in the yearling sales to some extent, but not to the level that I do. I am very, very active in these sales in that I look at, Dominic Brennan and I look at all the horses together. I'm not familiar with Chad's team, but probably more than anything, he may help to some extent. And then again, he may do his own buying. I don't know. I know from my perspective, I sign the ticket Kenneth McPeek agent on about every horse that I buy.
I love it.
So my name's out there. I don't know that Chad does that, but he's got Mike Ryan, who one of the very, very well-respected Bloodstock agents, does a lot of work for Chad. And there's a whole list of guys and girls that are out there in the trenches examining young horses, whether it's yearlings, 2-year-olds, that whole process of being a Bloodstock agent, which I kind of double as.
Got it.
I enjoy that side of it.
Got it. Well, obviously if you didn't, you wouldn't do it. Was there any horses, trainers, jockeys you felt were deserving but maybe weren't recognized the other night?
Well, I think Brian Hernandez probably should have been recognized to some extent, but I think it was close on whether or not he was on the list. But Flavien Prat was going to win that award no matter what happened.
And why is that?
Well, because he won more graded stakes, and I think the most graded stakes that's been won in American history. Well,
so yeah, it was
a no-brainer who was going to win that award.
Got it. That makes sense.
I think Irad and Tyler both had good years, great years, but Flavien Prat, that was complete no-brainer. I'm glad that Godolphin didn't have anything in the trainers category because they won everything else.
Well, they sure did, didn't they? And I tell you what, if you haven't watched the Eclipse Awards, it was really well done. Thought it was great. It was quick. It was quick paced. It didn't drag on. Some really good speeches, some good talks, some great awards. I thought the award show was fantastic. So I'm sure being there, I guess it's so fill it in for some of our listeners that are kind of trying to paint the picture here. Is it a nice dinner? Do they do a party after? Is it like a red carpet thing before? Is it the whole deal?
Well, yeah, red carpet coming in, a lot of photographs, cocktails beforehand, a lovely dinner, and then cocktails afterwards.
What'd they feed you? What was the dinner? Did you get a choice?
No, I think it was filet. It wasn't anything complicated, but it was good, and it was held at the Breakers, and certainly a world-class venue, very impressive place. I'd never been there before; had only heard about it. I actually kind of steer away from those kind of events unless I win something. I've actually been on the nominees quite a few times over the years, but I knew I wasn't going to win the award, so I didn't attend.
Got it.
But this year was pretty much expected that I needed to attend, and I had to buy a tuxedo.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I went ahead and bought a tuxedo. It's easier. I figure I'd use it again. Matter of fact, I'm planning on going back next year.
I was wondering if you had one of those in the closet, Kenny, or if that was a rental or what.
Yeah, I grew the old one. So anyway, that happens.
And so, Kenny, in what way do you think these awards shape public interest as far as when it comes to horse racing, the horse racing industry?
Well, I certainly think fans enjoy watching it, but more than anything, I think the people that were in attendance that night are some of the finest people in the sport. I mean, it's really a who's who of anybody that's of any importance in the game, and all the people that work hard to put the sport together, whether it's owners, trainers, jockeys, racetrack owners, owners of horses. It's the media, a lot of people that are very, very passionate. Or you wouldn't be there unless you're extremely passionate about the sport, and everybody dressed up and cleaned up. And the last time I actually won an Eclipse Award was Swiss Skydiver, but that was the COVID year, so they didn't have the Eclipse Awards that season. So that was something we missed.
Gotcha.
But it was a real honor to be a part of it all, and certainly Horses of the Year capped the night.
I may mess this up a little bit, but one of the things I found interesting, another training colleague of yours, Steve Asmussen, I think that's how you say it, right? His son won a jockey award. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, apprentice, leading apprentice.
What does that mean? What does an apprentice mean?
Yeah, when jockeys start out, they get a weight allowance. They get a weight break. It starts with 10 pounds, and then once they won a certain number of races, it goes to 7, then it goes to 5, and then a 5-pound allowance is allowed for a year. And Eric, good, fine young man, was able to congratulate him and Steve that night. And that family, the Asmussen family, is a look, they're a historic family in the sport. Their history here in our game is unparalleled. And Keith Asmussen and Cash was able to congratulate his nephew in a small video. But the things that they've accomplished in racing worldwide. Cash was a jockey in Europe for a period. Their dad is a very accomplished horseman. He bootstrapped his way up from the beginning. And then, what can you say about Steve? I mean, Steve just keeps winning and winning and winning. He's an amazing guy.
I think they mentioned the night of the awards that they're the Manning family of horse racing. It certainly seems like it.
Yeah, about the same. Yeah, it's a very good analogy.
So I still, you've got to fill me in on this. And again, this is me being a novice horse racing fan. So an apprentice jockey gets a weight advantage, so they don't have to carry as much weight when they're running, and they get that for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of wins.
Correct. They get it when they start as what they call a bug boy. They start with a 10-pound allowance. And then after that, I can't remember the numbers. Of course, it's not my department so much. And I typically don't ride apprentice riders too much.
Okay.
But when they get started, they get a weight allowance. Then over the course of time, once they've won X number of races, then that changes to 7 pounds. And then on the other side of more victories, it turns into 5. And then ultimately it disappears and they become what you call a journeyman rider. And that's a kind of a first stage in their career. It encourages them to get going, and it gives the trainers incentive to use these boys to get them mounts early on in their career.
But you couldn't ride an apprentice jockey in a graded stakes race or anything, could you?
Sure you can. Yeah, sure you can. But you don't get the weight in those.
So
you only get them in the maidens, allowances, the claiming races. In the graded stakes races, you lose the bug ride. The greatest bug rider or the greatest apprentice rider ever was Stevie Coffin.
Okay.
Who's now racing manager for Dixiana, and he was a rider and got on such a roll as a young man that he ended up winning the Triple Crown on Affirmed.
Really?
Yeah. Steve Coffin's a fantastic guy too. Another roots deep racing family, the Coffin family.
That'd make a cool movie. That would be all right. It's fascinating because when they were talking about apprentice jockey, I was like, what in the world are we talking about here? So super cool. Kenny, any other reflections from the Eclipse Awards? Anything you want to share with the listeners?
No, just a wonderful night. And then we had to come back to reality the next morning and back to work early and more work to do. Yep.
Understood. Well, and so obviously you're at Gulfstream right now. Last time we spoke to you, you were at your farm in Ocala. So what's next?
Well, we had an eventful week. We had some good and we had some bad. And let's talk about Mystic Dan first.
Yeah, that was a bad, right?
Yeah, it didn't run well. Didn't run. 2 races in a row, he didn't run well. We weren't overly thrilled with the way he a couple of days after the race, I really felt like we need to get him to Dr. Bramlage and let's let him poke around on him a little bit. I felt like he was a little weak in the hind end, but we'll let Larry tell us some details there. But, this is a horse that we're really proud of and a little bit of a slippery slope as a 4-year-old already. And we haven't gotten off with a good start, but we're going to see what next step is after Dr. Bramlage looks at him. And none of it's major. It's all, whatever it is, it's minor. But he's had 3 races in a row. He just hadn't shown up. And, I want to take the bullet to some extent. Okay, he didn't handle the Travers or the Belmont surface. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Belmont surface for the Belmont. Last summer, we gave him a break. He didn't run well in California, which I kind of took the blame on that. But then he didn't run well Saturday either.
Yeah.
So, and he trained what we felt like was, well, but look, he didn't fire a shot. And now it's a matter of what's next step. Do we back up? Do we kind of start lower and work our way up? Or in some cases, it might be the right time to try to figure out whether he's a stallion prospect and when's a good time to start that. So those are things that those are decisions you'll probably hear about on the next podcast. And then on a good note, we won 2 really big races over the weekend. Okay. We won the King's Cup in Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
Yeah, Rattle and Roll went over there, was dominant in victory, beat a 20-horse field by 4 or 5 lengths, was really thrilling to watch. So that was this past Saturday morning. Actually, Riyadh time, he ran at 11:30 in the morning. And that punches his ticket for the Saudi Cup, which is February 22nd.
Are you going?
Which is actually, I think we'll do a podcast from Saudi.
Let's go. So you're going.
You want to?
You're going.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to go. We're going to go to Saudi Arabia. It's a $20 million purse. Rattle and Roll. We worked an agreement with a Saudi client, and he's represented us proud. First run over there, first race I'd ever won in Saudi Arabia.
Let's go.
And if he runs well in the Saudi Cup, he'll probably go to the Dubai World Cup. And then on another note, we had a filly win the Martha Washington by 4 or 5 lengths. Filly named Take Charge Milady, who is directly related to Take Charge Lady, the filly I showed you earlier in the podcast.
Yeah.
And she is one of the leaders for the Kentucky Oaks. So maybe we're going to be dancing that dance again. So we'll see.
How cool. All right. So on the Mystic Dan front, it was interesting. I was talking to my dad and he was getting ready to race and I had made the comment, he didn't run real well last time out. And he goes, yeah, that was Kenny's fault. Kenny told you that was his fault. He said, he said on the podcast that, he took the blame from that one, but there's only so much blame you can take on this one, Kenny. I mean, at some point, we got to figure out, what's holding Mystic Dan back because listen, you don't win the Kentucky Derby. And then he finished, 2nd or 3rd in the Preakness? One of the two.
Second in the Preakness.
You don't have those kind of finishes without being an unbelievable horse. So, something's going on there.
Well, there's a couple of old sayings, and I'm not sure how people take it. Someone says horses are like strawberries and they can go bad at any time.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And then the other analogy that I've used over the years is that racing horses is somewhat like surfing. You're going out to try to catch the big wave. The bigger the wave, the more exciting, but all waves come to shore. Even a filly like Zenyatta ultimately got beaten and had to be retired.
Yeah.
Some of the best horses in the history of the sport at some point had reached a point where it was no longer reasonable to continue to race them. So we deal with this. I've had other horses that had to be retired over my career, and you try to do it gracefully so that it's the right thing for the horse and it's the right thing for their extended career, whether it's as a stallion or as a broodmare. So these are things that we deal with regularly. The great thing is that Mystic Dan's got an ownership group that's wonderful. They've been on this wonderful ride, and they're also handling what I'd call the downturn really well too. And they're they're obviously disappointed. They want to see the horse do better.
Sure.
We all want to see him do better.
Sure.
We've contemplated next steps, but we're not going to do anything till Larry Bramlage takes a look at the horse and we make sure that health-wise he's able to get back to his old form. And if he's not able to, we'll make that decision too.
Well, at the Eclipse Awards, you said on stage, Thorpedo Anna's not done. She's going to keep running.
Yep, she's been doing super, as you've seen today. At this point in time, we are eyeballing a March 8th return to the races. That gives us, I think we're about 6 weeks away from that, a little less. And that gives us plenty of time to get her ready. She's a natural athlete and has already jumped back into the routine and very, very aggressive already, wanting to get back to running. And if she runs well there, we'll probably, she's nominated to the Dubai World Cup, but more than likely we will stay here stateside and point towards the apple blossom. So fingers crossed everything goes good with her. And, look, this can happen with any horse, that things don't go well and off a layoff. And that's between her and me, and we'll see if we can get it right this time. All
right. Well, so to our listeners, we didn't answer any of your questions in this particular podcast, but send us your questions, leave them as comments on our YouTube videos, and we will, this next episode, I'll have Kenny answer all the questions that are coming in. Kenny, anything else before we get out of here?
No, I'm just beating the sunshine down here and trying to stay out of that snow wherever it might be. But I've got to head north here in a day or two. I'm probably going to go to the farm in Ocala for a few days, then migrate over to Fairgrounds, and then at some point I'll make it to Oklahoma, where right now we're leading trainers. So really proud of that.
There you go.
My guy Ray Briner's kicking tail over there, and Greg Geyer's won 9 races at the Fairgrounds too. So the team's doing a great job, and we're going to keep chugging.
Oh, and I can't wait to watch Rattle and Roll. I love that name, by the way. That might be my favorite name horse you have, but it's I can't wait for the Dubai one. That's going to be pretty awesome.
Yes, well, I'm glad to hear you got your dad watching, huh?
Oh yeah, he might be our biggest fan, honestly, Kenny.
No kidding.
He probably is responsible for half of our YouTube views. So yeah, but he's a big fan. Actually, it's funny. I was at the PGA show last week, which is the largest trade show kind of in the country, and was recognized several times. People who are also horse racing fans had a lot of really nice comments. It was really cool that we're really getting out there with it. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, I tell everybody, you're the one that talked me into doing this.
Well, I know it. I'm telling you, Ken.
I was like, I don't have time. No. And you said, no, you should do it. And actually, it's been fun.
Well, good. And hey, we've got our first sponsor. that you're getting ready to hear about. So we're excited to unveil that. He's an artist by the name of Robert Clark. So you're going to hear an ad here real quick, but so it just keeps growing, Kenny. And listen, the listener is a big piece of this. If we didn't have fantastic numbers, we didn't have great comments, we didn't have people enjoying what we do, we wouldn't have a product. So thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Keep giving us favorable reviews, and we'll keep giving you great content.
Whether it's a champion runner, mare, foal, or beloved family pet, Robert Clark is passionate about horses, racing, and eager to create a masterpiece for you. American Pharaoh, Authentic, Barbaro, Wise Dan, Zenyatta are just a few champions Clark has brought to life on canvas. You may have seen him painting live during the races at the Breeders' Cups, Churchill Downs, and at Keeneland. He's raised over $600,000 for charity. Check out his website, robertclark.us, to see why you should talk to Robert when you're ready to create a tribute to that special horse. Email him at bob@robertclark.us or call him at 321-266-1009.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much.
See you at the races.
See you at the races, everybody.